about doing high school at parade. Now, all the way through parade, kindergarten through 8th grade, the system has been pretty similar. We tend to see parents as primary educators, or at least very strong portion of your kids' education in terms of the content of courses, in terms of what they're learning, in terms of constantly having a dialogue with us about making sure your kids are learning the things they need. This is all because it's very important to us. It's very important to us that students always have choice. With I have four daughters, and every year, somewhere in March or April, we said, okay, what's going to be the best thing for you for next year? And every year we wanted them to have the choice, and us to have the choice about what would be best. So we feel it's important that if some life thing changed, or a student decided they wanted to go to 5-day school, they would be ready. That they would have the skills they would need to be successful in any arena. And that's been helpful, because we've had kids that have come to us from 5-day school, and we have sent kids back to 5-day school, and we have sent kids to private school, and we have sent, there's just so many choices out there that you're at a really crucial time. High school is an important big step in these kids' life. And as you're choosing for next year, you need to remember you're choosing for 1 year. 1 year at a time. It's really hard to change the semester. It's even harder to change, like right now. I have a new high schooler coming in I had a new high schooler coming in last week. And it's hard because we're in the middle of something. But it happens. So think in terms of doing a year and figuring out what's the best way to do next year. So parade is, we attempt to give the kids everything they would get in 5-day school in about 2 days for high school students, which means we're a very different approach to learning the same stuff and the same amount of stuff. We are an accredited high school. Students graduating from parade, and this year they'll be 5.5. We have one that won't finish till the end of August. And we'll have a diploma similar to any other high school diploma. It's a state of Washington high school diploma. We have a lot of our high school kids who go to colleges, a lot of kids that get scholarship for colleges. Most of our high school kids pass the state standardized test on the first go-around. You know, it's an academically motivated group. They're an accredited high school. We we individualize the program for every student and every student's need. Thank you. But it is harder than doing 5-day school. What students in 5-day school go Monday through Friday. Each day they have a small bit of work that's due the next day. And then they get a small bit of work that's due the next day. And then they have to study for a test in 3 days or something, you know. So it's a different approach. We meet for each class once a week, like the students are doing now. And all of the work for that class comes from here. So they go home with a large assignment sheet. Those students who have been in algebra, maybe also pre-algebra this year, have seen how you have a large assignment sheet that goes home once a week that is to be completed by the following week. All of our high school classes work on that basis. So the criteria for a successful student in our high school is that the student is motivated. It's kids that want to learn. They get to learn their way. They get to modify what we do, but they are motivated to learn and to better themselves. That's the biggest, most important word for our high school. If you look at the handout I gave you, we kind of work as a team. We see ourselves as partners with your students and you to help your student achieve more. We give credits. Now, credit is something that is the standard measure of work completed for high school. It used to be that a credit was regarded as 150 hours of guided instruction. And so all high school kids, several years ago, in fact when your daughter was here, would document their hours each week in every subject. And I'd have to keep logs of their hours. We don't do that with our class here. Because credit also means a body of knowledge. And so your students, for whatever class they take, will end the class with a body of knowledge in that subject and the skills that go with that knowledge. So we have to ensure when we give a student a credit in a class that they have completed that body of knowledge and can do those skills. We just go about it a little differently. We'll get to graduation requirements in a bit. We do a 4-year rotation. And that means every year we offer a specific science, we offer a specific English, and we theme it with a specific social studies content. Math is different. Math is sequential. Math is pre-algebra, algebra, geometry, algebra 2, and then on up. So math, you're in the class that's the level that you're at. The other classes are 9th through 12th graders doing the same thing. The expectations are higher for the older students, but they earn the same credit. We don't strongly differentiate in those classes. So that means that at Cedar Crest, all the sophomores take biology. Your group of students, if they do 4 years with Parade, won't get biology until their senior year, because most of them are taking an 8th grade biology right now. So they will come back at a deeper level to biology as a senior, because that will be the science then. So I'm going to go through graduation requirements in each of the fields. But if you look on the chart, the first chart on this page, it shows you that this year we did Washington State because the state changed the law. We normally would have done cultures all year. And then we've been looking at third world cultures. So currently the high schoolers are studying Asia and Asian literature. Next quarter they'll do Middle East, which is really Asia, but Middle East and Middle Eastern studies. And we do government, economic, sociology, political and history areas and geography in what we're studying. And this year we've done biology. Next year, on the regular rotation, the history would have been a semester of psychology and a semester of Washington State history as the sociology. We don't need to do Washington State history because these students will have had it before they got to high school. So we will do psychology one semester, and along with the parents and along with the state requirements, we'll decide what the other semester is. It may be civics, it may be economics, it may be sociology, or it's one of those three. And we're still in that process of determining how the graduation requirements change, because we will see in a few minutes they change constantly. And I have to keep saying, when was the last time I looked? Am I outdated because it was last month? You know? So that's what the program would be next year. In science, we would do a semester of forensics, which is a applied science what uses biology, chemistry, physics. It uses the whole thing in terms of crime scene investigations and understanding the past, what's happened in the past. It's a really fun science. And we'll do a semester of physics. Students, along with those core classes in math, which you have to have most every semester all the way through high school, we have some electives in high school. And we are a small school, so we don't have a lot. Currently, there is an art class that's 2 blocks long on Thursday afternoon, and a home economics class. Next year, there will be a high school drama class. There will likely be a technology class as the electives, but we rotate electives year by year because we can't offer everything in a small school. Students also get some of their credits independently. And in order to get an independent credit, you have to organize that with a teacher. So you notice on this schedule, we don't teach PE. Students need 2 credits in PE to graduate. Well, I happen to know that Breaker walks and runs, and Michaela plays softball. I think Kimmy does stuff with horses. I mean, I know that most of you are involved in something that keeps you active. So what happens for credits that you get for things you are doing anyway, or you focus on doing, is I send you a template for a syllabus for that specific class that is geared toward that class. You fill out your goals. You fill out the any curriculum you're going to use if you are, and then you give yourself a schedule of activities. You email that back to me, and I record it on your learning plan, and then you start working on your class. I require those doing independent credits to take 15 minutes a week to sit down and type up what they did, the time they spent, and what they learned, and send it to me. And if you keep this on one document, by the time the semester's done, you just print off the whole thing, and I have clear documentation that you have learned and done your goals in that field. I've given you the state goals on the syllabus, so you know what the state requires. You can go over and above that. Okay, I've been talking on. Any questions yet? Okay, we'll keep going. So you see that we're on a 4-year rotation. Each year, there's a different focused topic. The schedule below that is our weekly schedule. Now I've printed what we're doing this year for high school. It's definitely under construction. The teachers will be spending much of the next month or so determining next year's classes and their order in the week. So this is just a sample. We like having all of the math plenary sessions one day of the week, and then a math lab. So the kids come in and make sure they're not practicing something wrong and have a checkpoint for math. Science is a 2-block class, which enables us to do a lot of experimenting, and we can do anything that doesn't require us to look at it in 24 hours, like many science classes have to look at it each day. It's right now enabling the high school to have pets, which are in the back of the room. They are monitoring and doing behavior studies on animals right now. Science here is the idea is that they take the book, they read it at home, they learn how they learn from they either take notes or answer questions or do a study guide. We have a quiz on that subject the next day, or on the reading the next week, and then we spend our time in science getting dirty. We do experiments, we develop ideas, we test things, we teach each other about something. It's very hands-on when they're here. So I anticipate that they'll have enough motivation to complete their reading and study guides at home. Okay, number 4, who should come and who's successful here? I really feel the criteria is motivation. If it's a student that wants to learn and is willing to put in the time and effort to learn, they will be successful. Your partners at public school taking physical science as a 9th grader put 4.5 hours a week seat time at school and probably 3 hours a week homework time at home to learn that body of knowledge. For here, and that basically takes you back to the generous side of 150 hours for credit. Here, they have 1.5 to 2 hours of seat time for each class. So their homework for each credit is 5 or 6 hours a week. They have to come prepared. I don't know if any of you ever took a seminar style class. A seminar, high school, college kind of class that I took, everybody would bring something, come prepared, and then we'd all have things to discuss. A lot of our high school works that way. We teach each other. It's too much information for anybody to know it, but we all are contributing to teach each other the content. We all part. Yeah, Chris?
So do you have an estimate as to weekly how much homework in hours each kid roughly has?
Well, so 1 credit. So across the year, if you're working on 1 credit, it's 6+ hours a week. Now some kids are faster readers, some kids do their math faster, but it's about 6 hours for every credit that they're working on.
And how many credits do they usually work on?
Okay, so let's I want you to flip the page, but for several of you, I want you to go to the back page because we had blank copies. So it's either on the back of your page or it's on the black, it's a white page. Let's talk about credits. So I'm talking about at the bottom of that. So how many classes am I required to take? Graduation in the Riverview School District is 21 credits.
Over 4 years.
Over 4 years.
Okay.
So I asked freshmen to aim for no more than 5. Because next fall may be the hardest thing they've ever done. They are in with juniors and seniors, and they're expected to be ready each week, and a lot of their work is at home. So I'm thinking if they take 4 classes here, if they take math and science and English and history, that's 4 of their 5 credits here, then that's going to be about 20 hours at home of homework.
A week.
A week.
Okay.
And they'll probably be here for a day and a half.
Okay.
If they do that. So that will give them their 25 to 30 hours a week. That is high school. That's 4 credits. And I mentioned 5 for freshmen. Often students will add something to that that they're already doing and want to get credit for. That could be something like PE. Or there's kids that take music lessons. Or there's students that are taking speech in their church, and we modify that for speech credit. Or there's students who do a lot of volunteering and are in leadership experiences. Around the back side of this first page. So everybody's plan is individual and different, and you will be able to choose the extra things that you're doing. We require students to be here for history, English, and math until you have completed the requirements you need to graduate in those 3 subjects. Because if you look down here, these students will be the class of 2018. So on this chart, you'll see that in order to graduate, they will need 4 credits of English. It's currently 3. These change because the colleges and businesses have said, we want students to have stronger writing and analytic skills. And so they've raised it statewide. They will need 2.5 credits of social studies. They will need a half a credit of civics/senior seminar. Right now we do senior seminar 1 day a week for an hour, and we are not incorporating civics into it yet. So that's the piece that maybe, I'm still on the research if that's going to be a semester next year. Washington State history for these students will be met in the 8th grade. I think you're all in Washington State history. Math, you will need 3 credits starting in algebra. You will need to get through Algebra 2 or a comparable class. We have a few seniors this year who are doing financial algebra that's the level of Algebra 2. Science, they will need 2 credits in science. This is for graduation. Colleges really anticipate 3 or 4, but graduation is 2. Now the next 2 are health and fitness. Health, we do not currently do a health class. The high school does. They need 2 credits in PE, of which a half or a whole can be fitness. And that would be a home-taught kind of health class, nutrition, how to be healthy. I've had kids do a health credit who have been in major accidents or had major illness, and they look at what health is through the eye of their illness. But there's ways to do health. The next one is occupational education and 9th grade tech class. Those 2 put together are 1 credit, and that is the 1 credit they need of vocational education. We often offer a tech class here, and like I said, for this semester, we often offer a home economics class, which is life skills. There are other things that would qualify for that, but that would be on an individual basis. Those are the 2 we offer, and we offer 1 every year. So this year it's home ec, next year it'll probably be technology. Fine arts, every student needs 1 credit of fine arts. That includes art, drama, music, anything in the arts. And then electives. Elective is anything that I haven't already mentioned. But a student that takes 3 credits of science, the 3rd credit becomes in this calendar an elective. Students who take driver's training and bring in the copy of the certificate get some elective credit. There are many things students do to get elective credits. Any questions upon what students need to graduate? No? Okay. Breaker.
I'm sorry, is there a foreign language?
Really, really good question. Really good question. No. You can graduate from the Riverview School District knowing no foreign language. However, were you to wish to go to a Washington State University, you need 2 years in the same language. So what do we do about that? This year, we're learning to do an online language class. So I have several kids doing French, and they do a lot of it online at home, and then as of this semester, they have a long-distance teacher that they can communicate with by email and I think by phone, who takes their assignments and grades them and gets them back to them. That may be really working well. We're still learning getting the glitches out of it, but I still believe that language needs to be taught. So we sit down once a week and talk it. So there are many ways to do language. One thing our students often think about is doing Running Start. So Running Start is a state program that says highly qualified juniors and seniors should be able to earn high school and college credit at the same time if they are doing comparable work. So students here who finish their sophomore year with a high B average and 95% of their work turned in on time, because they have to be ready for college, can do Running Start as a partnership between Parade and one of the community colleges. I have sent students to Everett, Seattle Central, Bellevue, Cascadia, and North Seattle. You know, there's lots of community colleges in the area, and for a student that is truly ready, it's a really good option. Several of our students that want to go on to 4-year universities will take foreign language. You can get 3 years of foreign language in 1 year at community college. It's pretty intense, but you can do it. Anyway, each year we're up to rethinking through how to meet what the students need. Any questions yet?
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
there's a B average and what else? 90% of what?
Work turned in on time,
Okay.
okay? For me, if work comes in later than the class that it's due, but still in the same week, they lose 10% of their credit. If it comes in later than 1 week, or it comes in the next week, they get half credit for it. Because I have to teach them that the government does not want you to file your taxes May 1st, right? I mean, we pay consequences when we decide to be late.
Yep.
So there are college professors, I'm not saying all of them at Running Start, who, if it's due at 9 o'clock and you walk in the door at 9:05, take the paper, wad it up, and put it in a rectangular file. So somewhere in high school, this message becomes very important. So they need to, we need to practice that. That's how we do it. It's late points and points off for being late, and then it's half credit. But they have to, so I have several sophomores this year who think they'd like to try Running Start next year, who are in this, Mrs. Marshall, did I get everything in this week? Why don't you look and tell me what you haven't yet turned in, and then go clean your backpack? You know, we're in that learning process, and second semester sophomores need to show that. For many of our students, we find that Running Start is a really good option for senior year. That we're not always totally ready to enter the adult world and have those expectations when we're 16. And that's fine. And I have kids that, at least half of the kids who graduate from here, more than half, do high school all the way through here and without doing college, and then go off to college. You know, each student will do it their own way, you know, and it'll become apparent year by year what's the best for them. Some students have asked if they can take classes at Cedar Crest and classes here. Yes and no. It is possible to take a first period or a sixth period class at Cedar Crest if they have transportation. Because Cedar Crest first period class start at 7:20 and end at 8:40 or 8:50 or something. It's possible to get out and come back down if you take a first period class. I've often had students who've taken something like Japanese and want it first block. It is possible to do sixth period class and or after school sports at Cedar Crest if you don't take afternoon classes in parade. Cedar Crest gets out at 2:15.
They get out at 2.
2, and the last block starts at 12:40.
12:40 goes to 1:50.
Okay. Oh, no, at Cedar Crest.
Oh, at Cedar Crest?
Sixth period.
The earliest it starts is 12:30. So, you know, during the block days?
Yeah.
Yeah, 12:30 till 2.
Okay, so 12:30. So it is possible to get out of here at 12:30, go to Cedar Crest, take a 6-block class. But you can't take an afternoon class here, which is when we do electives. Or you can do sports, and if you don't take an afternoon class for first block. Yes, Stacey?
Can I add to the complication of that? I have a daughter who's done this. Cedar Crest does weird things on Friday. They change the times of the classes. Your child has to be really motivated that they want to be doing one class at Cedar Crest because it really makes the year hard. Friday's a different time almost every week. And they have to be really on the ball because if they're 10 minutes late because they didn't realize class started 15 minutes early, even if it's a 15-minute early release class, it's an absence. So it's a tough thing to go between.
Okay, thank you, Stacey. Chrissy?
If they're here for a day and a half a week, couldn't they do a Cedar Crest class on a different day, or Cedar Crest
Cedar
classes
Crest meet every day. We meet 4 days a week.
4
They
days
meet,
a week.
so they all meet on Monday and they all meet on Friday, even though Friday's a different time. And then during the week, they meet
Yeah.
2 days,
Okay.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
All right, okay,
So-
that makes sense.
So we have had some success with morning classes.
And I think afternoon's doable too, as long as you're aware of the time, the 6th period
Yeah, I'm
class.
trying to figure out who's done it.
But I
Sarah
would
Christian's
say,
doing some.
yeah, I would say that the challenging part about Cedar Crest also is if you want to sign up for a class, you are the last person who gets to sign up.
Yes.
So you may think to yourself, I want to take Japanese first period, but there may be no room in Japanese when it gets to be your turn. So that's just something to keep in mind if it's a popular thing.
Mhm. And we have, like I mentioned, we've been experimenting with online classes. And for some of our upperclassmen, this is a good option to do some things online. It looks good. Looks, I can just do it on my own time schedule. I can just get it all done and not have to drive down and back. It's really hard. It's really hard. So we are opening it, we're doing it on a case-by-case basis for sophomores and above, because freshman year is hard enough without complicating onlineness. So we just have a small amount of it. This year we're testing math and French. And we find that the success rate is a much lower percentage than we have in regular classes. So that's, yes.
So, say for example, she's taking Spanish in K-12, would that count as an elective?
Yes, yes.
So though the Spanish has to be earned through an accredited program, so she would either be getting her credit from
K-12.
K-12, or she would have to have a certificated Spanish teacher connected to our program, which we actually don't have. So that you want to make sure that you would straighten out those details.
You would check with K-12 and find out if they're doing something on that side, if they're accredited, and they do send the credit to their transcript, which
yeah.
sits in our office. Because we want to be sure things are on it if there's something on the outside. Help, how to get help. Often, there's 1 or 2 afternoons a week where it's open time for students to come in and get help. There's nothing wrong with being confused. There's everything wrong with staying confused. It's okay to have questions, it's okay to wonder, it's okay not to understand. Write down your questions and come on in. I have a couple afternoons a week where students, you've got a writing prompt and you have no idea how to get started to write what you want to say. I spend a lot of time sitting at a table interviewing students because I find they have a ton of ideas in their head. It's just getting them on the paper that's the hard part. And so I will interview students and I take notes. I ask them questions about what they're choosing to write about and what their ideas are, and I take the notes and I give it to them, and they go home with a format, a designed format that they can write from. And I find kids that are willing to